Hi everybody, I just realized that I did not post the last video of the NASW Code of Ethics Part 6. Forgive me for that. It's been a long time since I've made the previous videos, so I just want to come and make a quick video on the sixth section of the NASW Code of Ethics. Part 6 is social workers' ethical responsibilities to the broader society, and I am reading my notes if you see me looking down. Again, you can get this whole document, the whole NASW Code of Ethics, online, which is what I'm reading from right now, word for word. So 6.1 is social welfare. Social workers should promote the general welfare of society from local to global levels and the development of people, their communities, and their environments. Social workers should advocate for living conditions conducive to the fulfillment of basic human needs and should promote social, economic, political, and cultural values and institutions that are compatible with the realization of social justice. So, we as social workers, and some people have a micro track or a track that focuses on families and individuals. Some people go a macro track, which is more organizations, policy, and advocacy, that kind of thing. So we as social workers, although some of us may have a micro concentration, we still have a responsibility to the broader society and promoting social welfare for everybody, and like this said, at a local and global level. So even if you are a micro social worker, you should still think about not only where you are locally but everywhere else globally. And it's kind of like the sociological imagination, where you think outside of your own box and you think about the broader world and society. So a lot of times we make comments or opinions based off what we know and what we experience in our own backyard, in our own community, and what we see on TV and things like that. But the world is so much bigger than what we experience day to day. You know, I work in a police department, and we have great officers. We don't really have that many issues with the community, or the community doesn't have many issues with our officers. But that's just here where I work, and you know, I can talk and speak the experiences that we have here in my community and how it seems to be positive to me. But then when we look at other places, you know, things are different. So we have to think not only about our immediate environment, but about other places and what could possibly be going on in other places that could be a problem for the people that live in those places. Okay, so we should be advocating for living conditions conducive to the fulfillment of basic human needs and promote, you know, justice and cultural values, things like that. Okay, so part 2 is public participation. Social workers should facilitate informed participation by the public in shaping social policies and institutions. So we should be getting participation from the community, and we should be out there asking. And this is, again, if you are a macro level social worker, this is probably more your cup of tea. It's about grassroots, getting out there, going door to door, passing out surveys, doing interviews and things like that. But we should be getting the public's perception and getting the public to participate with us so that we can shape these policies and procedures and the institutions that are in our communities. We need the public's opinion so we can better advocate for what the public needs, what the public wants. So we are the people that should be on the forefront of getting that information and spreading it to the people who can make changes and make a difference. All right, so part 3 is public emergencies. Social workers should provide appropriate professional services and public emergencies to the greatest extent possible. Okay, so let's say a public emergency is a mass shooting, a flood, a hurricane, an earthquake that devastates a community. What else? A fire, just any kind of like natural disaster, or again, a mass shooting, or you know, if a bus wrecks and 20 people are killed, like those kind of big public emergencies, we should be providing appropriate professional services. So we can go and we can set up camps per se, to assist individuals with our resources and our knowledge. So if we, let's say for instance, we had a major flood, and like currently, recently there was a flood in Louisiana, and so let's say a group of us went to Louisiana. We worked with the Red Cross. We set up a tent to help people who were affected with services such as housing, food, clothing. The Red Cross does those kind of things, but we as social workers, we have those skills that some people may not have, to interview these people, find out what their immediate needs are, place them in somewhere where they can be stable immediately, and then work on the longer term things. So part 4, social and political action. And this is, there are 4 parts to this. A social worker should engage in social and political action that seeks to ensure that all people have equal access to the resources, employment, services, and opportunities they require to meet their basic human needs and to develop fully. Social workers should be aware of the impact of the political arena on practice and should advocate for changes in policy and legislation to improve social conditions in order to meet basic human needs and promote social justice. So again, this is more on a macro level. If you're a macro level social worker working in organizations and on policy and advocating, we should be, when it says that we should advocate for changes in policy and legislation to improve social conditions, this is where we would go and we would speak on behalf of a community or an organization or a group of people, in front of Congress, or in front of the big wigs who can make changes. So it's important for us to know what the issues are on the forefront, and not, I believe you have to do micro work in order to do macro work, because you don't want to go into a macro setting not knowing how people are affected, what they need, what they need to survive, So we should be aware of all these things, and we should advocate on a social level and political level. I mean, there's so many things going on in the world right now. It's just way different. I never would have imagined the world would be this way. But it's just so much craziness and madness going on in the world. We have, as social workers, should first of all be non-judgmental. We should be open-minded, and we should be, as everybody has prejudices, prejudgments, but we should try not to have those. We should be open. It's hard because we are human. Most people are prejudiced, no matter what your color, your race, your gender, your sex, no matter what any of that is. Most people have prejudgments about other people based off appearance or where you live, your education, that kind of thing. And we really shouldn't judge a book before we read it. But we need to be able to engage in social and political action so that we can advocate and make sure that everyone has equal access to resources and services and things like that. So that's what that means. B, social workers should act to expand choice and opportunity for all people with special regard for vulnerable, disadvantaged, oppressed, and exploited people and groups. So, I mean, this is where, groups like, when we think about groups that are vulnerable or disadvantaged, people that are low income, people that are homeless, oppressed groups, LGBTQ, minorities, women, things like that. We need to act to expand the choice and opportunity for all people all people, first of all, but especially people who aren't in the majority. And, even though I'm a woman and I'm black, I don't classify myself as a minority because I feel like it makes it, to me, that just makes me sound like I'm less than or that I'm inferior, and I don't see myself that way. So I don't classify myself as a minority. But that's another conversation for another time. Anyway, back to, back to this. C. Social workers should promote conditions that encourage respect for cultural and social diversity within the United States and globally. Again, this is not only about us, not only about our own backyards and our own communities. This is about the world at large. And, you should be able to think in your mind on that kind of level as a social worker, because if you say you get a job overseas somewhere in another country, if you're in the United States and you go to another country, everything's different. Their culture is different, languages are different, so we have to be diverse ourselves before we can encourage and respect cultural diversity elsewhere and try to advocate for that elsewhere. And again, this is social workers' responsibility to the broader society. So social workers should promote policies and practices that demonstrate respect for difference, support the expansion of cultural knowledge and resources, advocate for programs and institutions that demonstrate cultural competence, and promote policies that safeguard the rights of and confirm equity and social justice for all people. So this is basically saying, again, cultural competence is very important. We have to be self-aware of our own culture and our own norms and values and beliefs, but then we also have to be able to demonstrate respect for differences, for different cultures, and support the expansion of cultural knowledge and resources, advocating for programs and institutions that demonstrate cultural competence. So, if you, like, say for instance, there's an organization in my community where I work that works to help people who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, help them into recovery and to sustain their recovery. When I went to the meeting there as a social worker, I'm looking at, the organization and the people that work there and everything. And so they do great work there, but to me, it was not diverse there. All of their marketing material, their flyers, their pamphlets, their brochures, their little signs that they had, everything had all white people on it only. No black person was on it at all. All of their staff were white, and it was not diverse at all. And so, having worked with people in the community for several years, I've seen people with addictions and people who are dependent on alcohol and abuse alcohol. They are all different races. You have men, you have women. To me, it just didn't sit well with me because I think about the people who I've worked with who are not white. I think about, are they going to go into this organization and feel comfortable? The whole staff there, they were dressed a certain way. It seemed like, and again, I don't know how true this is, but it seemed like they had a certain income that was above low income. And so I think about, the guy on the street that's homeless, that's a Hispanic or a black guy or a female, that kind of thing. And I think about how would they feel when they walk into this place? Are these people going to be competent or relatable to people who are not like them? And so they said they would call us and follow up with us on what we thought about their organization, and they never did, and I wish that they would have. And I guess I could call them on my own, but that was something to think about to inform them of. So that's that. What's next? The next thing on here is social workers should act to prevent This is part D. Social workers should act to prevent and eliminate domination of, exploitation of, and discrimination against any person, group, or class on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, age, marital status, political belief, religion, immigration status, or mental or physical disability. This is very important, everybody, because I mean, this includes everything, everybody. If you have any kind of racial prejudices, or if you discriminate on against people based on their race, ethnicity, where they're from, their color, their sex, their sexual orientation, their gender identity or expression, you know, their marital status, religion, immigration status, any of that, you know, you probably don't need to be a social worker, because these are the people we work with. We work with people who are of different races, different backgrounds, different sexual orientations, different everything. And so you can't really, this isn't the field for you if you have a problem with people who are different than you are, people who don't believe in the same political policies and things like that that you do, because you're going to come across that all the time. So again, we have to be self-aware, and we have to be able to check ourselves before dealing with other people. And again, if that's a major issue for you, social work may not be the field for you, or you can open your mind and, you know, think differently. But we should, as social workers working in the broader society, should act to prevent and eliminate, again, domination of and exploitation of and discrimination against all of those groups. That's just our responsibility to the broader social society. So that's it for that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment box. Of course, you can email me. You can also reach me through my website, daytodaysocialwork.wix.com/my-site. Again, please like and subscribe and share with your colleagues. And I also offer tutoring, and tutoring has been going well. I just had a lady that passed her exam, believe it was last week. So I will be updating my website as soon as she gets me a testimonial, and hopefully the rest of these people that I'm tutoring will end up taking their exam soon, and hopefully we'll have some good results. Alright, so if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you in the next video.